reports coming down. Tommy Rees, prior to Matt Campbell being hired as the head coach now at Penn State, Tommy Rees was interviewed for the job. And obviously, as we sit here and preview this game, this doesn't have any impact. It's not like Tommy wasn't doing his job throughout the week because all of a sudden he had a Penn State head coaching opportunity come up and he had to prepare for that interview. I'm sure he was still able to do his job and do everything that he needed to get Shedeur ready for this game. I think this more so what it tells you, and what you and I had sort of chatted about during the break, is the fact that you can't really count on the fact that Tommy's going to be here next year. And certainly if Kevin was back and Tommy was back, there's a really good opportunity that he's not finishing the season with the Browns, or at the very least at the end of that year is gone somewhere else.
I'd be honest with you guys. I usually pride myself on having a really good read on what the Browns are doing, what they're going to do, where they're at. I'm completely lost. Anybody's guess right now is as good as mine. What are they cooking? What are they doing? Nothing they do makes any sense. We were talking also during the break about the Wyatt Teller benching and how that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. This week you had Bubba Ventrone. If there was ever a time to fire Bubba Ventrone in the middle of the season, it would have been after you had 4 gaffes on special teams that cost you an opportunity to potentially upset the San Francisco 49ers. Then in Bubba Ventrone's media availability, he's pretty much blaming the state of the roster and saying that he doesn't have enough talent. Yet still, it sounds like there's this thought that maybe Stefanski and Barry stay because this is a weak head coaching cycle. Then last night, I'm at the Cavs game, and the report drops that Deshaun Watson's going to be on the roster next year, and my stomach just sinks to my feet because I'm like, that's not only a bad omen for the Cavs, it's a bad omen for the Buckeyes, it's a bad omen for the Browns tomorrow because Deshaun Watson continues to be a black cloud over this organization, and the Browns must have wrapped up a strategy session of figuring out what's the next move we can make to upset this fan base. Sure, let's put out a Saturday night report right before Ohio State that Deshaun Watson's sticking around and he's staying in town. And then Tommy Rees seemingly had his eye on the door ever since he arrived. I think he's a front runner for any job that opens. So, what is this team doing right now? I'm so confused. It certainly seems like Tommy Rees is going to leave. I mean, Penn State head coach job would have been a massive, jump, so you can't blame them for that. But we are in the weirdest time of this team that we've had in quite some time. It is truly December in Berea.
And I think it's really interesting, though, because you look at Tommy, and obviously the offense has not had success this year, period. Since Tommy's taken over the play calling, it's not like the offense has exploded off the page or anything. And still garners a ton of attention, still obviously widely respected across the sport at both the college and I assume, at the NFL level. If he's got an OC job right now and he's a play caller, there's some level of respect there too. I think there's a lot of people looking around at this team going, that's dysfunctional. There's not a ton of pieces on offense. And we still think that Tommy is a great candidate to actually lead a program or lead a team and be able to still do that. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. And and the point of the Deshaun thing, I've been telling people for a month,
you have been.
Deshaun's here next year. There's just no way around it. The cap hit is $80 million if you were to cut him. You can't afford to do that and field the roster without him there because the cap hit's big anyway, but you can't take $80 million in dead cap and still field a roster. Not the one that you currently have. So it's it was going to happen. It's just more so of why is that report coming out in week 14 of the NFL season? That's the part that I don't understand.
Right before Ohio State, it's strange, and I guess I appreciate that the caveat was out there that he's probably not going to play this year. But now the chatter is, and Rappaport is even replugging his own article right now, and he's the Browns could be a potential team in need of a bridge quarterback, and maybe Deshaun Watson would be their bridge quarterback. How and why? You can't introduce him at the stadium. He'll get booed. He'll get booed in his own home stadium. So if you're looking for a bridge quarterback, I hate to tell you, look elsewhere because nobody wants to see that guy play football ever again. And everybody's like, well, the NFL right now is going through this era of reclamation projects. Sam Darnold's turned his career around. Baker Mayfield's turned his career around. Guess what? Those are guys that previously showed a little bit of promise. And I get that Deshaun Watson was a former MVP MVP candidate. He's going to be 31 next year. He voluntarily sat out a year. He was suspended 11 games. He had a rare shoulder break that no quarterback has ever really had before, and we don't know how that ever really impacted him because he tore his Achilles not just once, but twice. And this is the reclamation project. I'd take a flyer. I'm being so dead serious when I say this. I would take a flyer on Johnny Manziel being a reclamation project right now over Deshaun Watson. I seriously would. What is the point of putting him back on the football field? Because then if he plays well, despite getting booed in his home stadium, then what? You're going to extend him again? You're going to just recommit to the poor mistake that you made 4 years ago now?
No, I mean, I think the idea, not that I have any idea to agree with it, but like, I think the idea is you pay him anyway. He's a bridge quarterback. You take a kid next year. I don't love it. Like, I'm completely and full-heartedly against it. Again, he's going to get booed in his home stadium. It's going to happen. It's just like, I don't understand the point of the report. Yes, he's going to be here next year. Yes, we kind of assume that it's going to be in the role that he was here, basically playing this year, except he's going to be on the active roster. You can't get away from that. Like, you have to put him on the active roster. It's just, I mean, it's mind-boggling why this report's coming out now if there's nothing coming from it. But again, it all leads to the idea of dysfunction.
It does.
All of this points to dysfunction. Wyatt Teller, Bubba Ventrone blaming the roster for the first time in week 14.
Like, dude, you're a special teams coordinator. Think about that. Like, if an offensive coordinator said that, like, it'd be like, okay,
Kevin could have said that the entire
dysfunctional. Year. Yeah, Kevin could have said that the whole year. And like, but dude, he's talking about not having a special teams ace. Like, hey, buddy, most teams don't. The fact that you don't have a special teams ace, that was the reason why there were not like one muff punt. You had two muff punts. You were lucky that one got recovered. You literally you opened the game with a 66-yard return, and then Malachi Corley looked like the first receiver that Chad O'Shea has ever coached up, because that was the best toe tap that I'd ever seen, but it happened on special teams, and it cost 40-some yards worth of field position had they just let that penalty happen. Like, this team is a mess right now, and I can't believe the lengths that some people are going to go to defend it.
I mean, it's absolutely wild. And again, I think you look at this Tommy Rees thing, and I do think there's one more thing that comes out of this as a whole, too. Is if you're looking for a head coach next year, which up in the air, I mean, I don't think anybody really knows. Like, all I hear is that there's no feeling right now that Stefanski would be out. Let me tell you right now, if you don't win this game and you end this season with 3, 4, even if you were somehow managing to pull off 5 wins this season, it's not a great record in a guy in year 6 to continue to move forward with. But you continue to look at things, and it's like, okay, so you look at some of the head coaching jobs. Mike Tomlin, something's happening over there. His camp's got to be putting out something now that we're talking about the March 1st, 2026 deadline to extend Tomlin.
And that was out last night. That was out this morning by 2 different national NFL reporters. Like, yeah, they're wanting that to be known that something's fishy in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, like, it wouldn't surprise me if Tomlin's not back. I mean, they're not going to just outright fire him, because that's not the way the Steelers operate. But, like, I could see definitely a mutual parting of ways in that scenario.
Yeah.
But if you go out and you get a guy like Tomlin, or even if you were to like promote Jim Schwartz to the head coaching position, because I know people have thrown that out there as well, this shows you the dangers of doing that. It's like, sure, if Kevin's still here and Tommy Rees got picked off by some college program, the offense doesn't really change. It's Kevin's offense at the end of the day. A lot of people don't like that to begin with, but you don't lose your entire offensive identity right out of the gate. You put a defensive head coach in there, you're having to hire OCs routinely, especially if your offense is out and performing. Like, Tommy Rees would be in full command of your offense. Let's say if Jim Schwartz was your defensive coordinator, Tommy Rees is gone. You got an interim and a guy that's coming in with a completely different philosophy the very next year. Like, ask Dan Campbell over in Detroit. What happened this year with their offense? Now, they still look good enough because they're talented enough. But like, Dan Campbell's had to take over play calling this year on the offensive side of the ball as a non-offensive head coach, really. And you go and you look at things, like, it's ugly. Ben Johnson got poached. Like, that's what happens in this league. Good offensive coordinators get poached for head coaching jobs at the college level or the NFL level. It just happens. So, like, you want to go defensive head coach? Listen, I'm not saying there's not benefits to it, and those, the 2 guys we just threw out wouldn't be prime candidates, but you also know what it turns into. Like, it gets dangerous. This entire thing is proving to you just how wild I think this offseason has the potential to be.
It really does. And here's another thing, like another layer of it, because I've started to see this like at the end of last week, was a lot of people just talking about how bad this upcoming coaching cycle is expected to be. And that if Kevin Stefanski was fired, he could potentially be a hot head coaching candidate elsewhere. Like, he wouldn't have to take the year off or go be an OC somewhere else. Like, if he got fired, he might just
came out either, right?
Right, exactly. And all of that, like, I'm sick of the excuses. That's where I'm at, Jake. So, I'm okay, I'm not going to live in my fears and hold on to Stefanski, because if I fire him, he might go be the head coach of the Giants. Same way, everybody now magically is like, this is a weak quarterback class. It's like, well, just a couple months ago in April, you guys told me the same thing, and that's why the Browns didn't draft a quarterback in the first round last season. I just saw Fernando Mendoza look all right against Matt Patricia, which Ohio State's defense is probably the closest thing you're going to get to an NFL defense, and Mendoza passed the eye test. So, I'm sick of living in my fears. I'm sick of living in, I'm afraid of my head coach going elsewhere and having success. I'm afraid of drafting a quarterback in the first round, and because what if he's not the guy? What if I had to talk myself into this guy? The NFL is a copycat league. It's time to just start acting like how all the other organizations act, and maybe you might accidentally fall into becoming normal like them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real kicker of this is normal. It just feels so far away, right? You had for so many years done the thing where you just rattled through head coaches left and right to the point where it was okay, guys, look at the roster. You got to give a guy a couple of years just to have a chance. And now you're looking at this team and it's well, you had, I'm close to a Super Bowl caliber roster when Kevin Stefanski took over, at multiple times put together rosters that were considered dark horse Super Bowl contenders, probably just not because they're the Browns. And now it's you've almost leaned so far in the opposite direction that I'm are we now afraid to fire somebody? You gave them a 6-year runway, and the team got progressively worse and ended up right back down in the dumps immediately. What other head coach in year 6 walks away with a record of, a maximum probably of 8 wins in the last 2 years, and you're yeah, but he didn't have his choice at quarterback. You got to give him another shot. Do you not have Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, draft Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, despite there being anywhere from a 5th to 7th round to undrafted grade on the quarterback? He's gotten shots at quarterbacks. There's nothing more to it. You have just reeked of dysfunction left and right, and somehow that was supposed to be the Barry Stefanski claim to fame, is at least their structure.
We're in alignment.
They've looked anything but aligned this year.
The alignment stinks. The alignment is in a 1998 Corolla. It's rusted out. It's check engine lights on. That's okay. It's aligned, but it doesn't start.